Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today, I've been getting calls about credit repair. So we're going to talk about authorized users. I'm going to show you all some authorized user trade lines that you can get, and then we're going to discuss how to improve your credit score as well. So please, like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back. Authorized user trade lines. In fact, this past week I've received several calls from people who are looking to get their credit improved, and I've also received some messages from people and have spoken to people that have taken my advice and started improving their credit score, and now they have credit scores where they can get anything they want. 750, 800 credit score. In between that, over 700, starting out at 550, 585, and they've done it all within 3 to 4 months. So again, we have arsenals to increase your credit score, and you can use them. So the authorized user trade lines has many misconceptions. A lot of people have credit that they don't like, and then they contact me and they think that because they get an authorized user trade line that their credit score instantly boosts up to, let's say, a 750, a 725, or 700 credit score. And that's just not simply the case. Most of the time when you look at your credit score, just make sure or look at how much you owe. That is the main factor, because 30% of your credit score is based on debt utilization. So that is a large chunk of your credit score, and debt utilization simply means if you owe $1,000, this includes collections, this includes what you owe on credit cards, this does not include what you owe on a mortgage or a car loan. All right, this is based on what you owe on credit. And so if you have a credit limit on a card of and let's say it could be collections, it could be owed on a credit card, all that total, let's say it adds up to $1,000. In this example, in order for us to be under 10% or even under 30%, so we'll stick with that. What you want first, in order to improve your score, you have to be 29% or less on the owed. So if you owe $1,000, you at least need a $3,100 credit line or credit limit or authorized user trade line in order to get your score under 29%. And then if you're trying to get under, let's say the optimal is 9% or less, then that means you need a trade line of over $10,000. So let's say $10,500, $11,000. You would need at least a card with the credit limit of $11,000 or an authorized user trade line of over $11,000 in order to get your score under 10%. Under 10% is optimal as far as improving your credit score and getting points. So now that we got that out of the way, the credit utilization is important. Then the other thing is, what people don't realize is payment history. Payment history is another 35%. So between these two, you're at 65% on your credit score. So there's been calls, I've received calls where some people were told not to make payments on their credit because they were going to get it removed, or don't make payments because we're going to just close your accounts. And all this works against you. Do not go by a month and not make payments on your credit cards or anything that's on your credit file that requires payments. Those are heavily weighted against you. The older they get, the less weight there are. But the newer they are, it hurts your score, and it could hurt your score 50, 100, 75 points just by missing one payment. And then it's going to go by how many credit payment history reportings you're going to have. So let's go with an example. I'm trying to make this short and sweet. I'll get to the authorized user trade lines that we're going to post in a second. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, you only have, again, one credit card. You miss one payment. In order to get your credit in the good, which means it's got to be 98%, 99%, 100% on your payment history, it's going to take you at least 9 payments to get back to 98%. Whereas, and then basically just call it a year, because in order for you to get that back. So, but if you had 10 credit payments, meaning a car, credit cards, a secured loan, a secured credit card payment, primary trade lines such as my jewelers, New Coast, something like that. So by contrast, if you had 10 credit lines already out and you were making payment on 10 of them, and let's say on one of them you missed, you're still going to be at 90% if you paid all the rest. So in order for you to get back to 98%, you could do that in roughly 2 months. And this is why I suggest you have over 11 different type of credit lines reporting. Because if you do falter, at least you can get back to a positive credit report in a quicker fashion versus 1 year if you only had 1 or 2 items reporting on your credit. So now, let's get into what we're trying to do. An authorized user trade line is only for 2 or 3 months. You don't get to keep those indefinitely. A primary trade line is under your social security number, and therefore that's why it's called primary. Authorized user is when somebody else puts you on their trade line, and it's not based on your social security number, and therefore it's an authorized user, and it's 3 to 4 months that you're scheduled to be on there. So if you're going to add an authorized user trade line, that's to boost your credit score. If you're trying to, get a car, house, or any other large purchase, you're trying to get a lower interest rate by increasing your credit score. So, for instance, let's go with some of the things. Authorized user trade lines are on the screen. You can see them. And people always ask, what's the difference and what's the pricing? Oftentimes, pricing goes by the credit limit and the amount of years reporting positive payment history. So as you can see right on top, there's a Macy's card, $8,300 limit. It's a nice limit, but the reason why it's $1,319 is because it's 21 years of payment history, which payment history is 15% of your credit score. So therefore, once you start adding things up and you have a payment history, you have credit debt utilization, and then you have your payment history, I mean age, I don't mean history, but your age of your accounts is what I'm referring to here. This 21 years, 7 months is of age. So when you add all those three together, that's 80% of your credit score. And if those are in positive territory, then your credit score is going to go up. What you're trying to do is try to get your average age to 7 years. That's optimal. All right? So that's why this could come in handy. If somebody has everything that I've said in my previous videos regarding primary trade lines, you started out and you would have your age would only be like 1 or 2 months, because they average across everything. So then if you have 21 years and got this, that increases your age out. So you could have 3 trade lines that you got yourself, and they could all be like 6 months old because you're trying to build your credit now. And now you add in this 21 years. Now you're going to go 21 years divided by 4. Now you've automatically increased your age up until almost 6 years. In fact, it's going to be a little more than 6 years. It might be 6 years, 1 month, 6 years, 2 months, whatever the case may be. But the fact is, that'll help boost your score again. So all these little tidbits add up. And now, if you're thinking of age kind of doesn't matter, and you're just trying to offset some collections or some you maxed out credit cards, and you can't, once you max out your credit cards and they're reporting, you can't really improve your credit score that much. So you're going to get a higher, like you see the Chase here, $33,000. And see, the reason for the larger amount and the $1,235 a price tag is because of the $33,600. So if somebody had $8,000 owed in between collections, credit cards, things like that, and then you got this chase at 33,000, you will be under. What would you be under? You'd be under 30%. So once you get under 29% or better, you start improving your credit score. So instantly, that would improve your credit score temporarily because it's an AU trade line. So these are the kind of things you have. And then you can look at the other chase, 3 years, 9 months is obviously less, $759. There's something here for everybody, depending on what your need is. And as far as sometimes people ask, what's the lowest amount? And you can see on the next screen that we have is that we have something, I believe it's $600, and it's about 3 years, a couple of months, and that's going to be under $275 or less. In fact, I believe it's going to be closer to 200. I don't have it up on my screen, so I can't actually see it, but it should be around $229 if I remember correctly. And if it's not, I'll honor that $229 price if you want to do the simple chase. Capital One card at $600, and it's $600 limit, and you just needed some years added, and that'll be about the lowest one. So there's a price range depending on what you do. So before you contact anyone regarding an AU trade line, you need to know how much you owe on your credit file. Not how much you owe just generally in at your household or whatever, only on your credit file. It doesn't matter about your energy bill, TV bill, or anything like that unless it's on your credit report. So you open up your credit report, you go to creditkarma.com, Credit Sesame, or if you have one of the other, Credit Check Total Credit Check, whatever you want to call them, Identity IQ. If you have any of these, you look on there, and each of the credit bureaus are going to have a different amount oftentimes owed because some people don't report to all credit bureaus. So just look and make sure you know before you even think about authorized user trade lines, and you know what it says you owe. It'll tell you how much you owe, outstanding. It'll say credit amount owed or outstanding amount owed. It just depends on the credit, whoever's reporting system you're using. And once you know that, and once you know your payment history, get that on track, then you know what you can do and the amount of an authorized user trade line you'll need. So I'm going to wrap this up and say we're approaching 2,000 subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of you for always the support, the love, the emails I receive, the phone calls I receive. I appreciate you trying. A lot of you are still paying attention, listening to my videos as far as everything else we're doing here at Stop Struggling Now. And sometimes it's all you have to do is just start with one thing. Just start to act with one thing. And you have to try. Once you start, you can't just say, well, I'll just half-heartedly do it. You have to get to it. You know the motto, let's get to it. And that's what you have to do. Don't just keep sitting on the sidelines, because each month that goes by could be another month that could change your life. And emergencies do arise all the time. Believe me, I get calls all the time where people are trying to improve their score, like they need it like yesterday. They lost their home, or the owner of the place woke up today and said they're going to put it up for sale, and then they sold it within 2 weeks, and now the new owners are talking about, hey, can you move out in 3 weeks, even though a person has a lease. Now, of course, if it's the 10th of the month and now they're talking about move out by the 10th of next month, you're sitting here in a crunch now saying, 25, 30 days, you got to move out. And some people don't have the credit that's needed to move out. The score is just 10, 20 points below what they need to live in a very good place versus a very bad place or a worse place. So just always keep in mind to keep trying to push forward with keeping everything in order and keep away from debt. You've heard me say this over the last year. In fact, it's a 1-year anniversary here at Stop Struggling Now. So again, thank you everybody for your support and watching and listening and sharing my videos. And just keep in mind, Everything is hard, and all you got to do is go through the door. So with all that said, please like, subscribe, click the bell so you get the latest updates. And because you know it's hard out here, we're all struggling, trying to make things happen. So keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.